Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members of the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. So today I wanted to talk about the German tanks. So yes guys, the Germans, they have a lot of good tanks. They have a very complete line, but there is always a little bit of a thing that I think always bothered a lot of the German mains, to be honest, and even people that care about these tanks as well. And honestly, there are some gaps in that tech tree that could use some filling, you know. And what about these German tanks, right? I mean, we do have two of them. I think only two, right? Which is the BMP-1, of course, the SPZ BMP-1, and of course the T-72M1. Both of them are, of course, copy-paste tanks from the Soviet counterparts, but they indeed perform a task of filling some gaps in that tech tree, right? But even then, I mean, it wasn't really necessary, to be honest, because, for example, in the case of the T-72, they have the KPZ, right, 70 and the M48 Super. Of course, they're not on par with the T-72 in most regards. I mean, they are different tanks, but still, I mean, they do have 9.3 tanks, and the BMP-1, we have the mortar, which is the same BR as the BMP-1, right? So it's not like we only need things that are needed anyway, right? So why not have more tanks like that? I mean, with the addition of Italy, with a lot of Soviet tanks and other things from Hungary, and even the Swedish with the Finnish sub-tree, I think the Germans could actually use a bit of, you know, gap filling tanks in the rank 5, rank 6, kind of even lower maybe, but probably just the rank 5 and rank 6 kind of scenarios, right? What would that be? Well, I think the first one obviously would be the T-54s and 55s, right? The Germans actually used a lot of these tanks and a lot of these versions from 1951 using the T-54-3, which is the one that we have in the game as the 1951 version of the T-54, to the later T-55AMs as well, right? So it's a very interesting tank that was used, and in the game already, in the Soviet tech tree, he already has kind of a wide BR range, you know. So they initially come at 8.0 or even 7.7 technically with the 47, but still going up to 8.7 in the later models of the T-55, right? So there is always like a gap in those BRs that need filling or could use some filling. Like, for example, below the M48A2, right? That tank is already, I think, a very good tank for 7.7, but why not add a T-54 there as well, you know? That could help the tech tree at 7.7, 8.0 kind of situation. Maybe at 8.3, which they don't have a lot of 8.3s. They have the M48 and then the Gepard and the Hot, and they're very different tanks, like these three, but that's pretty much what it is from 8.3. So why not add a T-55A or something similar to that at 8.3, right? And even at 8.7, there isn't a lot of tanks. I mean, we have the TEM and the Jagdpanzer KA2 as well, right? But apart from that, you have to jump to 9.0 or directly to 9.3, to be honest, because there's only one 9.0 tank in the normal tech tree, right? So an 8.7 there could actually help a lot. So a later model of the T-55 could also actually be there. Other tanks that can actually be added, like the BMP-2, for example. The BMP-2 was used by the Germans as well, and can be added in 8.7. All BRs that the tech tree lacks tanks in, you know. You have a very small tech tree of tanks in that scenario, and it kind of baffles me. Not small, but, you know, it's not on terms with the US and the Soviets, in my opinion, and the options are right there. Yes, there are some copy-paste, of course there are. There are some modifications done to the vehicles as well, so, you know, they could do their own research and find these little modifications and add to them. But even if it's just a copy-paste, I still think it's worth it. And it's not like, oh my god, Germany suffers. It's not like that. But the thing is that the Germans are really strong at the top tier range. But again, in rank 5 and rank 6, it's not like they suffer. The tanks are pretty good, but to be honest, it is kind of a mess on the sense of building lineups until you reach 9.3. From 9.3 onwards, it's pretty alright, but until you reach that BR, it kind of is weird. And one of the reasons why 9.3 is so good is that you can actually take the KPZ-70, the M48 Super that I was talking about, together with a T-72, right? A Beagle Panzer and some other tanks as well. So, yeah, it is pretty interesting, isn't it? That there is this big gap in the middle there between like a 7.0 until like 9.3, where the BRs are kind of weird if you are mounting a lineup there, right? So yeah, even in the anti-air systems, we can have some things like, for example, the Strelas. Of course, the Strela 10 that is already in the game, of course, would be a 10.0, the same as in the game, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they already have some things along those lines, but still nothing that it's 10.0. Not that they need to, but still, it is something that would help them out a little bit. ZSU 23-4 as well, which is a very good 8.0 AA system. It doesn't have a lot of range, but we do have a lot of 8.0s in that BR range. I mean, we have the Martyrs, the DF-105, we have the Raketenjagd Panzer II, the Raketenautomat, all of those, the Leopard 1, if we get a T-55, T-54, I mean, it would be around that BR as well. And the AA systems go from a Weasel at 7.3 to a Gepard in 8.3, so a Shilka in the 8.0 department would be very, very good as well. So there's multiple additions here and there that could actually happen, right? And it's not something like, it's alright. The uniqueness of tanks will still be there. It's just helping the tech tree to be a little bit easier for the grind, in my opinion, because then you have more options in the BRs that you are to have a strong lineup to continue to grind. Of course, a lot of these tanks should be folded, you know, so that you don't have to research a whole tank again, and a lot of people complain about that, and I think it's right to complain it, but yeah, something like that could happen. And yeah, guys, it is something that they barely even touched. And again, I mean, there are even World War II tanks. I would stay away from that because I think they already have plenty of tanks in the World War II kind of scenario, and to be honest, it would just like bring nothing to the table, because as it's, again, they already have a lot of World War II tanks, so there's no need, right? But of course, they use the T-34-85s, the IS-2s, stuff like that as well. Again, I don't think that should be added, but at least these Cold War ones, especially T-54s, 55s, an AA system here and there, and just like if they add 4 or 5 of these tanks, it will already be amazing. So yeah, hopefully you get the point. You know, it is kind of a problematic subject because a lot of people complain about Germany being too strong, and it is in certain BRs, but I think in these BRs it is quite hard to mount a strong, you know, a strong lineup, and that would help. Again, those BRs between 7 point something until like 9.3. So yeah, again, let me know in the comments what you think about this, if you would like to see more East German tanks or not in the German tech tree. Do you like the copy paste or not? Do you like the idea of having Soviet, American and German tanks in the same lineup? I think it would be cool no matter what. The Germans did use these tanks after all, so yeah. But yeah, guys, I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and again, let me know in the comments what you think about it. See ya, guys. Bye.